Welcome to Creatively by Estelle, a podcast for creative and performing artists. My name is Estelle Averi, and I'm your host. Whether you're just starting or you're a pro, this show will help you feel inspired and motivated every single week along your creative journey, and will give you tactical tools and tips for fulfilling your creative goals and your God-given purpose as a creative person. You have gifts to give, so let's do this. Let's live creatively, and let's get into the episode. Hey, welcome back to the podcast. Thank you for being here. I'm so glad you're here. Today's episode I'm really excited about because I feel like this is something that I would have loved to hear a couple years ago when I was starting to really want to grow as a singer more seriously, like taking that more seriously. So yeah, today's episode, I'm going to talk about how you can grow as a singer if you can't take private voice lessons for whatever reason. I know for me, like when I was wanting to really be more intentional about growing as a singer after I graduated college, and I'd been in voice lessons, but once I graduated, I moved back home. And soon after COVID started, and I was like, okay, like I'd started taking dance classes, and that went online. And so I was being intentional about growing as a dancer and as an artist in general. So I was like, I really want to be intentional about singing too. But of course, with COVID, that was not, in-person lessons weren't really possible, and I was still kind of shy about the whole idea, even though I'd been doing them in college. Anyway, all that to say is I'm excited to talk about this today because I think I have some good tips for alternatives for growing as a singer, kind of like self-taught sort of things that you can do from home. So I hope you enjoy this episode. I hope you're doing well. I kind of rushed into the episode, but hey, how's it going? I hope you're doing well. I hope you are excited for this week, and yeah, that you're ready to really put into action all the creative dreams and desires and gifts that God has given you, because that's really what I'm here to do, is to remind you and to encourage you that if you know that you have creative gifts and you have that inkling, you have that desire to do something about it, this is a great place to start. And I'm here to just encourage you to really start and to get started today and don't put it off. So yeah, I hope that you're ready to do that. And whether it's taking small steps of action, which are like small steps of faith, you're just taking action, not knowing the outcome. Like maybe you love Broadway or you love performing on stage, but you don't necessarily know if that's where you're going to end up. But you're still going to start singing regardless because you have this gift and you have this desire to do it. So I'm here to help you do it, okay? And yeah, and I'm excited to help you move just a little bit, move that needle just a little bit more, move forward just a little bit more today with some tips to help you grow as a singer. And, this show is for all creatives, but specifically for those who know that you want to be creative in the performing arts. I know that this is exactly where you need to be to get started in the performing arts because, especially if you want to be performing, you want to be versatile, you want to act, but you also want to dance, you also want to sing, you want to strengthen these different areas of performing that will make you a better performer as a whole. And so, yeah, so we're going to talk about singing today because you guys know that's what I love. That's what my that's one of my main creative passions is singing, as well as performing, acting, dancing, but singing especially. So I'm excited to talk to you about that. Anyway, let's get into the episode. Okay, so how to grow as a singer if you can't take private voice lessons, whether it's because of time, commuting to wherever your local music studio or voice studio is, or maybe it's because of finances. Why did I say it like that? Because of finances? Or maybe it's because of, whatever reason, you just haven't found a voice teacher that you vibe with, that you really enjoy. There are so many reasons why you might not be able to do private in-person private voice lessons in the traditional sense right now. So I want to give you some alternatives, okay? And I have 3 tips for growing as a singer when you can't take private voice lessons, 3 ways to kind of work around that, what may seem like a barrier to you, okay? All right, so the first way to grow, I would say, is to consume free content from voice teachers, from singers online, right? So this is really easy, a great way to use your resources, free resources to grow online. There are a lot of voice teachers on TikTok, on Instagram, who have entire YouTube channels really on how to sing X, Y, or Z. And I will link several of them below, the ones that I've listened to, that I've watched in the past, that I really enjoy. I might not be able to say all of them off the top of my head, or the ones that I've written down some, but I will link even more, probably maybe a couple more in the show notes below, so that you can have access to them. These are great singers and voice teachers that have helped me before. So let's see. So one of my favorites is Hannah Bayles. She used to be called Your Voice Teacher on TikTok, but now she's Hannah Bayles at Hannah Bayles on TikTok, on YouTube, and Instagram, I believe. So yeah, she does a lot of voice reactions, but she started off, like, a lot of her earlier YouTube videos also like break down like how to sing, like how to mix belt and mixing and things like that. So I really recommend starting there if you're like, maybe you're so there are different people are in different places with their voice and their vocal journey. So maybe you have been singing and you kind of feel a lot of strain when you're belting or when you're singing higher notes, things like that. I would really recommend watching some Hannah Bayles older YouTube videos. She talks a lot about mixing, which has been really, really helpful to me as a singer. So I would recommend her for that. I would also recommend Kristen Morris at EMK. I think her voice studio is called EMK Studios, and I've actually taken a lesson with one of her voice teachers there, and she was really great. And she also talks a lot about belting on her TikTok page and her Instagram page, so you could find some really great free content there. Just going and watching a couple of videos will help you reflect on, okay, how can I apply this to this song that I'm loving, or to this, piece that I want to work on? How can I apply this as a singer to help me grow? So I think their content is really helpful for that. I would also say when it comes to singing as well as performance and, performing on stage as well, I would say Melissa V. Cartwright of MVC Performance. Again, I'm going to link all these people below. She's really great, though, on her Instagram. And does she have YouTube? I don't think so, but definitely Instagram. She posts a lot of like reels and videos and posts just describing tips for performing, tips for singing, and how to get comfortable on stage, things like that. So definitely check her out as well for just free content that will help you grow. Absolutely. There's also Cheryl Porter. She's super famous on YouTube, like very big on YouTube, very big on TikTok and Instagram. So I'll link her below too. And she does like she'll like play some like clips from voice lessons as well. So you'll be able to like hear how she coaches other people. So that would help you as well. So yeah, think about, Googling some, Googling, okay, how to sing, how to learn to sing. If you're starting at the beginning of your journey, you'll find a lot of online teachers who have free content for you on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, and even through their websites, even blogs as well. There are also podcasters too, right? So there's one podcast called the Practice Parlour Podcast by Gina Morgano, and she's a singer as well. She's breaks down a lot of like technical things and as well as like mindset stuff for singers. So I think her podcast is really great too. So definitely check her out. And then lastly, I remember there's one TikToker and YouTube page that I love as well. Jennifer Glatzhofer, I believe is how her name is pronounced. She's really cool. She also does vocal coach reactions, but she also breaks down a lot of like singing technique as well. And she talks a lot about belting, mixing, and stuff like that on her YouTube, on her Instagram, and her TikTok pages. So yeah, these are just a few examples. There are tons and tons of voice teachers out there who produce free content. So I would say shop around, find some of your favorites that you can go to on a regular basis and say, okay, this week, this person posted this YouTube video about mixing, so I'm going to work on this and I'm going to apply it to this song that I love to sing, that I want to work on for myself. And so it's kind of your way of having like a virtual free voice teacher, right? Who has produced this free content for you. Maybe it's a podcast that you listen to about, techniques for singing a musical theater song, right? And then you're like, okay, like I wrote them down. I'm going to apply this to this song that I want to work on this week, right? Or this month, whatever the case is. And so it definitely takes initiative on your part, but then you're able to use all this free content to then help you grow, and you just have to apply it. So I would say shop around, do some research, right? Google, what's something that you are asking questions about, right? How do I sing with more volume, for instance? Maybe you want to know about that. You can Google that, see if there's a blog post, right? And then if that voice teacher has some free content online, then there you go. You can follow their free content to learn even more. So yeah, that's kind of what I've done. That's what I did a lot of. I did a lot of free content consumption from voice teachers online. That's how I found a lot of these people, was just searching these things, right, on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, and found some of these people, or stumbled upon them without even trying, right? And I'm glad that I did, because I learned a lot about mixing, especially around that time, from a lot of these voice teachers. And then of course, once I got into class, it's all been confirmed and it's all been strengthened, and it's helped me a lot to grow. So yeah, just be really intentional about how you consume free content from, I would say, you don't want to overwhelm yourself. Maybe like 1 to 2 different teachers that you really like their content and you feel like they will help you grow, and just try them. And then from there you can see what you like after that. So definitely take advantage of free content online. And we're going to move on to the next tip to grow. And it can relate to, like, all my tips always relate. Okay, it all comes together. They can all influence each other, right? Because the second tip is to create a practice routine for yourself. And I say that works with the first one, because you can, maybe say that, okay, every week I'm going to watch one of these videos and work and apply what they're talking about in this content to the song that I'm working on, right? So it's like you can consume this free content, but you can do it in a structured way. And so that's my second tip, is to create your own practice routine for yourself. Schedule in practice time. If you don't schedule it in, it likely will not get done. So if you want to be intentional about really growing as a singer before the end of this month, before the end of this year, right? Happy new month, by the way. But before the end of this month and this year, like, if you're really intentional about growing, then, write things down, create a schedule for yourself. So will you do, for instance, I have done in the past and continue to do a singing challenge on TikTok. Right now I'm doing it weekly, but before it was daily, right? And it was a way for me to really stretch myself to sing a song every single day, to grow in my, my musical theater, my knowledge of musical theater songs, and to just learn, kind of figure out my own style of singing musical theater, I think was also a big thing for me. And it's something that I continue to work on, and I need to record one today. So I don't know when this episode is going to be out, but just go to my TikTok and I'm sure you'll see a bunch of the my Song of the Day challenge videos. So maybe you want to create one for yourself and hold yourself accountable by posting it online, or sending it to a friend, or just keeping it on your phone, whatever the case is. Maybe that's how that's your routine, is that you're going to do this. You're going to sing a song every single week, and that will be like your challenge for yourself. Maybe that's it. Or maybe you're going to just set aside a 30 minutes section, time block every week, where you're going to do a quick warm up and then you're going to work on a song. Maybe you're going to add in a video from one of your online voice teachers or singers that you look up to, that you're going to sort of apply what they talk about in that video or that piece of content. So yeah, and there you go. That's 15 to 30 minutes once a week that you set aside to really grow as a singer, right? Super easy, super simple. So that's the second tip, is to create your own practice routine, or create that time. Create that time and space to grow. Have a specific area in your room, right, where this is where I'm going to be at this time on this day of the week. Or maybe you do 5 minutes a day and you just do like a quick, you're singing through a song real quick, whatever it is. Have that space in your room or wherever you're living in, have a spot where you're like, this is where I'm going to be at this time, and I'm going to work on myself. I'm going to grow as a singer. Investing in your creative gifts, it's not only for the fun of it and the enjoyment of it. Of course, there's so much joy. I love, to encourage singers to rediscover the joy of singing and of performing. But it's also like, it's not just because it feels good, but it's also like you're investing in your giftings. You're investing in what God has put in you. And if you have that talent and you know that you have that talent, then why not create time and space to grow intentionally, right? To get better. So if you want to get better at singing, keep singing, create a schedule for yourself, create a practice routine for yourself. I'm telling this to myself too, because I really need to be more intentional, especially when there are weeks like this, where I don't have a voice lesson this week. So I have to be intentional about, okay, how am I going to grow this week? How am I going to grow today, right? So create a practice routine for yourself. And lastly, the third way that I would say we can all grow as singers, is to join group singing classes, right? So this is how you can grow as a singer if you can't take private lessons, but group lessons, group classes, workshops, master classes, online, in person, oftentimes are less costly. They're more cost effective, and you get that accountability factor of having other people in the room where you're like, oh, I have to really focus in. I mean, I guess when it's just you and one other person, it's kind of more scary because it's just you, you better sing. But at the same, it's a different level. It's a different type of accountability, I guess. And I think it might also depend on your personality, right? Some people might prefer the group atmosphere because you're like, okay, we're all in this together, right? We're all growing together. But I would say group singing classes, workshops, master classes are great because you can schedule them online, right? So it's more flexible. And a lot of the teachers and the voice coaches that I mentioned earlier have, they do online master classes, they do virtual workshops and stuff like that. Oftentimes, sometimes, I don't know if they might be for free. Some of them are, there is a cost, but it's less costly than if you decided to do a month of private voice lessons. You know what I mean? So you're getting a lot of really good feedback and content and information about growing as a singer and voice technique and performing techniques in one sitting, in one time, and for less money, for lower cost. So that could work if the reason that you can't take private voice lessons is because of cost, or because of, you feel like you'd have to be there every single week. Voice workshops are oftentimes, they might be free, or they might be less expensive, and then they might not be every single week, right? So there's more flexibility in your time and in your schedule there. So I would say look up some group classes in your area if you want to do in person or virtual as well, right? And again, a lot of the singers that I mentioned earlier do virtual workshops and master classes as well. So you can look at their information, go to their websites and see if they have any upcoming. Or I also do, group coaching, group singing classes. I did a free workshop a month ago, and it was so much fun. And I'm definitely going to be doing another one before the end of the summer. And I'm also going to be opening up group singing classes that can be drop-in, as well as you can join it if you're a part of the Create Your Stage membership, which is a monthly membership where you pay a monthly fee and you get these bi-weekly group singing classes where you're going to work on songs, get feedback, and actually grow as a singer and rediscover the joy of singing and of performing, right? Especially, and it's musical theater themed, by the way. If you didn't know, now you know, okay? So they will be musical theater themed. But it's going to be these classes will be so much fun and such an amazing way for you to intentionally grow as a singer and not just say, oh, I love to sing or I want to sing, but no buts. No more buts. I'm done. Okay, if you want to sing, let's sing. Okay, so that's what these are. And if you're interested in joining wanting to drop in these workshops, in these group singing classes, and you know that you want to do that, then you can join my mailing list. I'm going to link it in the show notes below. You can join the email list that way because I send all the updates every single week of everything that's going on and upcoming events, as well as podcast episodes and some encouragement, things like that. So drop that or go to the show notes. I'll drop that in the show notes. Go there and join the mailing list for more information, or go to creativelybyestelle.com/sing for all the updates on upcoming group singing classes. They'll be for all levels. They'll be musical theater themed. They'll be virtual. And so, yeah, group singing classes are a great way to have fun singing, but also, have that group community feel that holds you accountable. And yeah, it's a great alternative to private voice lessons that are really available for anyone and everyone, because most of the time these days they're online, they're virtual. Mine are virtual. So if you would like to drop in, or if you want to join the membership, go to creativelybyestelle.com/sing for more information on what it would be like, and you can sign up there and register now, and that way you're automatically on the email list and you'll automatically get all the information for my next class. Okay, so look out for that. I'm really excited to do it because it'll be drop-in, so you can literally just buy the day up. For instance, if you're like, oh, I have some time, I have an hour or 45-minute window this evening, so I can join the group singing class. Amazing, let's go, right? Or if you're in the membership, then you're automatically going to go. So it's all good, it's all great. So that's the end. Those are my 3 tips for how you can grow as a singer if you can't take private voice lessons. To recap, the first one is consume free content from voice teachers and singers online. The second one is to create a practice routine for yourself, okay? Schedule it and put it in the books and do it. And then the last one is to join group singing classes, workshops, and or master classes. A lot of them are online and super flexible and accessible for everyone. So be sure to join one of those. If you'd like to join mine, you can go to creativelybyestelle.com/sing and just sign up there to register. It'll get you on the mailing list so that you can have first dibs when I drop the schedule, okay? Thank you so much for listening. I hope this encouraged you. I hope this episode really gave you some tactical tools and tips. Again, all the information about the people that I suggested and the link to my mailing list and everything will be in the show notes. So go check them out. Go shop for some online voice teachers, voice content. Of course, come back to this podcast because I'll be doing more singing tips and technique and stuff like that I can share with you, especially beginner level, because that's what I teach. So come back to this and I will be sharing even more tips to help you grow as a singer. But yeah, if you enjoyed this episode, if this helped you, if this impacted you, if this blessed you, if this inspired you, share this with someone. I would love for you to right now think of someone who wants to grow as a singer, who loves to sing or has talent, and maybe they've been holding back, right? They've been holding back on themselves. Send this to them right now. This can really help them start to take action. So send this to them right now. Also, if you love this show and if you haven't left a review yet, I would love for you to leave a review, please. It would be so helpful to help boost this show even more so that more people can continue to grow their creative gifts and start, using their creative gifts, start their creative journey in the performing arts. So yes, leave a review on Apple Podcasts, on iTunes. Thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate you listening every single week. Thank you, and I hope you have an amazing day. And I'll talk to you later. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Creatively by Estelle. I hope you feel encouraged by today's episode as you start this week. And if you have a moment, I would love for you to just share this episode with a friend if you liked it, or with someone who you think this could be encouraging to. It would really help this show. Also, if you really loved this episode, if you wouldn't mind going to Apple Podcasts
and leaving a review and rating this show. It would really help us reach more people through this show and grow our Creatively community. All right, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next week.